Good morning, property investing masters. My name is Lloyd Ross and I'm coming to you not live, but recorded from our offices here on the Gold Coast. And today I want to give you some value in terms of when you're investing in property, what are some of the self-sabotaging habits that people have that destroy their wealth instead of helping them to build wealth in property. So this is quite a different topic, but something that we've been wanting to put in here. So I hope it does give you some value. If it does, make some comments below, ask some questions, and I'll come in personally and answer them for you. And of course, thanks for tuning in. So self-sabotage. There are three things that people tend to do with property investing that sabotages their efforts to build wealth. So I'm going to explain those three things now. The first one is they sabotage themselves on the way in to the investment. And you might be thinking, how do I sabotage myself going in to the investment? And the answer is that people often sabotage the potential to earn money because they make their acquisition based on emotion. And that happens quite regularly with apartment investing. People go to a nice place like the Gold Coast, but many other cities too, and they see this U-Butte apartment block near the beach, and they buy the apartment block thinking they're going to go on holiday there a couple of weeks of the year. When in reality, it's far, far cheaper just to book a hotel for a couple of weeks each year. So they sabotage themselves because they buy on emotion. And so what happens is they buy this apartment off the plan, and it's say $500,000, it's finished, and then all of a sudden it's $200 a week in body corporate fees, and it wipes away all the rental return, and all of a sudden they don't get any growth because it's in an apartment market which is usually oversupplied. And then bit by bit, year by year, they get tired of not making any money and they decide to sell it. So that's the first way they sabotage themselves. They go into the investment purely on emotion. And it's really difficult not to do that because as humans, we actually buy on emotion. That's how we buy. We make every buying decision on emotion. But if you can detach yourself from that and have some sort of logic behind with the numbers, so usually where the population growth is high, the infrastructure spending is high, and the yield is high with a high growth area, if you follow those metrics, you really avoid trouble. And if you avoid apartments, you'll avoid trouble as well. So if you can just follow those simple rules, you will avoid the self-sabotage of going into the investment. The second way people sabotage themselves is that they get impatient. So let's say, for instance, you did buy a home, it was in a good location, good population growth, good yield, growing area, close to the city, close to the schools, close to the hospitals, close to the M1, and you've done all the right things and you've bought it. How people sabotage themselves at that point is that 3 or 4 years passes and they don't get immediate growth, for instance. Okay, they think that real estate goes up perfectly like this every year, which it doesn't. It actually goes flat for a long time and then it spikes. So they don't ever get that spike and they get too impatient and they see another shiny object come past. They either see an apartment that they'll like to buy, or they'll see some sort of other thing that they want to buy. They want to buy a business, whatever it might be. And they realize that they've got a small bit of equity left in that property they purchased 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, and they end up selling it. And of course, when that happens, they miss that peak and they miss all the growth that is to come in that peak period. So they shoot themselves in the foot by selling too early. And so one of the things you can do to protect yourself from that sort of self-sabotage is when you make an acquisition in property, pick a great location and then don't sell it for 30 years. And now that is the hard part because being humans, again, we get impatient. We want fast money, quick money. We want things now. The reality is property doesn't work like that. It takes a number of decades to build massive wealth in even one property. And I think if you just get one and you just do it well and you're very patient, you'll do well. So that's the second way to self-sabotage, impatience. The third way is that once people go through a period of growth in property, whether it be in their personal home or in their investment property, they make a decision to draw down the equity and buy consumables. So things that don't produce a return. And typically they are things like cars, specific courses and things for children. I've known some people to buy flying lessons for $80,000, for instance, and use their equity from their property to do that for their children. And then they end up quitting and not doing it. So there's a multitude of different things that you can draw your equity from and buy: boats, cars, electronics, lots and lots of travel. People do that a lot. And when you do that, you're really taking away the opportunity to redeploy that capital back into another investment that produces a return. So that's the third way you can self-sabotage. You can take that money you've built in your property and buy things that just don't return for you. In fact, they go down in value. So if you can avoid those three things, the emotional acquisition of property, the impatience that it takes, sometimes to hold, and of course, using your equity to buy consumables, you'll do very well. So if you can avoid those things, you will avoid self-sabotage and you will have a simple and happy retirement. Okay, so I hope that's of value. And again, if you've got any questions, pop them below and I'll come back to you very soon. Thank you.